Sometimes it seems like there's one in every class. The student who always speaks their native language instead of English, lets their cell phone ring during class, or constantly interrupts others. These are tricky issues to deal with, but are important to overcome for effective classroom management. Today we'll look at the do's and don'ts for some common classroom disruptions. What can you do when your students constantly speak their native language during class? Our first reaction might be to say shh or no Spanish in a firm tone, but if you're teaching adults, this can be patronizing and make your students resent you. A better approach is to call on students as soon as you hear them. Not only does this get them to stop, but it also puts them on the spot because they weren't paying attention. If you do this enough, students will be forced to pay attention because they know you could call on them at any time. Hi Jen, can you give me an example of the word adventurous?
Sí, ¿Conoces? Yeah,
No Spanish.
Sorry.
Can you give me an example of the word adventurous?
Yes. I'm an adventurous person.
Very good. Okay. Isabel, can you give me an example of the word adventurous?
What? What are you talking about? Sorry.
Can you use the word adventurous in a sentence?
Okay. My life is so adventurous.
Very good. So Lola, can you give me an example using the word interesting in a sentence?
I think my life is very interesting.
Very good. Anna, can you give me an example of the word interesting?
Okay, sorry, I didn't listen.
What about phones ringing during class? We may feel the urge to make students hang up or reprimand them, but we need to keep in mind that our students have important things going on in their lives outside the classroom. For example, what if your student's wife is pregnant and needs to stay in close contact with him? In my classes, I like to set a precedent for cell phone use. All the students know that they should either turn their phones off or set them on vibrate if they're expecting an important call. If they absolutely need to answer, they should leave the classroom. Okay, so let's do a review. Isabel, can you give me an example of the present continuous?
Okay, I am studying English now.
Okay.
Bueno,
Alejandro,
hey, ¿qué onda?
can you turn off your phone?
Espérate, es que
Please.
la maestra aquí está presionando. Hey,
Alejandro, can you turn off your phone, please, and wait after class?
¿cómo ves? Hey, si quieres háblame al rato. Bueno, no me entiende.
Okay, everyone, let's start class. Does everyone have their phone off or on vibrate?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So let's review. Anna, can you give me number one about what we reviewed yesterday about the present continuous?
Yes, I am studying English here now.
Very good. Okay. Eve, can you give me another example of the present continuous?
I'm reading a book.
Very good. Okay, and Lola, can you give me another example? And then there are the students who seem to constantly interrupt others. Again, our first instinct might be to stop them and admonish them, but that will probably leave the student feeling like their contribution doesn't matter and they may become discouraged from participating in the future. Instead, you could ask the interrupting student to let the other finish, then come back to them and let them give their example. This way, everyone gets to participate equally. Eve, can you give me an example of the word hilarious in a sentence?
Jim Carrey.
Like that movie.
Reina, please let him finish.
Jim Carrey is hilarious.
Okay.
The movie too.
Okay. So, Anna, can you give me another example of hilarious?
The party yesterday was hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alejandro, another example? Another example, Alejandro?
I think the Cirque du Soleil, it's hilarious. The show of the Cirque du Soleil is hilarious too.
Yes,
Cirque
I
du Soleil is
agree.
hilarious. Hojan, can you give me an example of the word hilarious?
Yes.
When you say the
wait.
yesterday.
Hold on. Let Hojan finish and then we'll come back to you, okay?
Okay.
What were you saying?
He's very hilarious person.
Okay, very good. Okay, I'm sorry, what were you saying before?
I'm a hilarious person too.
You're a hilarious person.
Yes.
Very good. These are just a few things that can come up that affect your classroom management, but here are some general things to keep in mind to minimize disruptions. Rather than dealing with disruptions as they happen, try to preempt them. Establish rules early on so that the students know which things are and aren't acceptable. Enforce those rules consistently, but also respect your students' private lives and special circumstances. Familiarize yourself with your students' cultural norms for behavior. What's considered disruptive in your culture may not be in theirs. When disruptions do occur, maintain composure and deal with the situation calmly. Try not to visibly show you're frustrated, even if you are. By following these simple guidelines, you can maintain order in your classroom without sacrificing rapport.